Hello, hello, hello. What's going on? What's going on with everybody? This is Beast Mode, aka Joe Content, coming to you with another one, another YouTube video. Um, this one is going to be pretty much the first time I ever seen almost anybody except one person. And this YouTube video is that I'm looking at is about a guy named Destiny. Everybody seems to know Destiny. Everybody know that he gets into a lot of debates. I don't know too much about Destiny, so I did hear about him a lot from other YouTubers that we look at and that we are going to be looking at. So I guess Destiny is like a popular philosophy guy. I guess he get in a lot of debates. I don't know what's his stance on a lot of things, so I know they say he's a liberal or he's somebody on the left. But I did hear somebody actually say that Destiny is a capitalist as well. So I don't know how that work out. I'll probably have to check out another video. But this particular video caught my eye because he was actually trying to get into it with lead attorney, and I'm gonna point out some of the problems that I see in Destiny argument. And if he's a debater, like everybody say he's a debater, he should actually know better than making this mistake. And I think lead attorney was actually correct in what he was saying because lead attorney is a he's an actual attorney, and not just because he's an actual attorney, not like lawyers can't be wrong as well, but it's just the fact that he is explaining um like a line of reasoning and a line of evidence to Destiny correctly. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at this video. That way you guys could see what I'm talking about, and if you agree, you can leave it in the comments that you agree. If you don't agree, leave it in the comments as well. If I see it, I may explain further what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and play this video, and we can go from there.
It's interesting, shout out to you guys. Y'all might not know who I am. It's
Yes, sir.
interesting, shout out to you guys. Y'all might not know who I am. I'm the lead attorney. I'm a 20-year divorce attorney down here in Atlanta, Georgia. My whole adult career, I've been dealing with these issues of parenting and divorce and alimony. So it's interesting to hear how you guys talk about it. Destiny, one of the things that I hear you um, it seems that you're pretty persuasive when you talk about these studies and things like that. And I understand the impetus to really look for hard data when you talk about things. And generally, I think that's very important. But when you start talking about data for these types of issues, the reason why people get divorced, the reason why people have children, things of that nature, how many people cheat, when you rely on this self-reporting, it's amazing how unreliable the data is. And so I don't know if you can really quote any study um, that would be conclusive on these issues.
What do
If
you
you
think would be a better metric, in your opinion?
well, that's the issue, right? Because you certainly don't want to rely on anecdotal evidence, right?
Well, this is lead attorney. He's pretty much trying to explain to Destiny, and it seemed like he's trying to explain to this guy too, and he seems like he's confused as well. But he's trying to explain to Destiny is that um, he's relying on evidence that is anecdotal. So I think really what the lead attorney should be explaining to Destiny is that the evidence that you actually relying on is not verifiable. So it's anecdotal. It's people's opinion, or it's people opinions, or it's maybe people's perception, or it's maybe somebody could be lying, um, and you getting it from you believe it because you're getting it from an authority or you're getting it off the internet. This is just something that you're reading, and you're reading someone's opinion. Now, not the person that's being reported, or not the actual person that's in the evidence that they presenting. They're just you getting the opinions of an authority figure. So you basically taking that as to be true. And the attorney is trying to explain that to Destiny. And it seemed like the other guy's jumping in and it seems like he's confused as well, which is even more funny because like why is he confused? You know.
But relying on self-reported studies is crazy. And I can tell you
Now remember what he's saying. He's saying relying on self-reporting studies. So I don't even think this is an insult, and I think Destiny is taking it like it's an insult. I think he is going to take it like that. But he it's not really like an insult. He just is saying like you relying on self-reporting studies. He's saying it's crazy because nobody really relies on it because nobody is truthful in that matter, especially in the divorce court. A lot of people is not even going to be honest. With their finances, people are not going to be honest, especially if you're in the wrong or somebody is accusing you of being in the wrong. Like let's say um, you getting a divorce because someone had an affair. Now, unless it's some private investigator that have conclusive evidence of the husband or the wife having that affair, then somebody just basically alleging somebody had an affair and this is why I want to get a divorce because my husband's cheating on me. Well, what evidence do you have that your husband's cheating on you? Or my wife's cheating on me? What evidence do you have that your wife is cheating on you? But I just don't want to be married no more because I know she's cheating on me. But you don't really have evidence that the person is really cheating on you. So this is just you just don't want to be in a relationship no more because of a feeling, you know. But even if the wife or the husband is cheating, it's not like when you come to court, they're gonna admit it. It's not like when they come to court, is or they do a study. It's not when you do a study, and then they're gonna go, "Did you ever? Did you did you cheat on your husband?" It's not that they go like, "Yeah, I cheated on my husband with this person and that person and that person." They're not gonna do that. Of course, they're gonna be the most honest person that they could be. They're not gonna put themselves in a bad light. So self-reporting studies is not it's not reliable, especially in like a court case, or it's not even reliable in a debate because it's not verifiable. And not only is not verifiable, if you don't have conclusive evidence of this thing that's supposedly happening, if you don't have any conclusive evidence whatsoever, something that we could look at or observe to be conclusive evidence, something that we all could see for ourselves, if you cannot present that, if only thing that you're presenting is an internet post or an article that you read off the internet based on some study from an authority figure or some reporter, then that's not that's just appeal to authority. You know, and appealing to authority is not verifiable evidence. It's just not. And this is what lead attorney is trying to tell Destiny. He said like no court system would even allow that to be recommended to be evidence in court, not in a court case, and you can't recommend that to be evidence even in a debate. You can't have like a real debate and say, "Oh, well, yeah, these people think this happened, and I'm going to believe them because they smart, or I'm going to believe them because they made a study about this." Oh, what's the method in the study? Oh, the study is that they asked a bunch of people why they had a divorce. Oh, they just asked a bunch of people why they had a divorce, and that's the study. Yeah, that's the study. What? No evidence. They don't have no verifiable evidence that the reporters they did no further investigation. No, you know, but that's that's not. I don't have to accept that as verifiable, conclusive evidence of something to be true. And I believe that's what lead attorney is trying to get at. Unless Destiny has something else that he want to say.
that as a 20-year attorney, having to talk to women and men about their relationships. I mean, you can ask somebody how much they make, and maybe they'll tell you the truth. Maybe if you have to look at their W-2s, judges don't even believe people when they tell them how much they make. Like judges insist on taxes, insist on W-2s, insist on 1099s. So if you have these studies that don't insist on anything, like there's no reason to rely on those at all.
Now, I mean, lead attorney explained it perfectly. He just he pretty much said it the same way I said it. I guess he's trying to give him a chance to talk, but he said it perfectly. Even judges don't allow something. Well, judges won't even recommend it in the evidence. They would just say like that's taking evidence at bad faith. It's actually appeal to an authority. You can't have that in the court case. You got to have all evidence must be somehow verifiable in order for it to be recommended as fact in court. Now a prosecutor could bring it as fact in court, and a prosecutor would have to have some type of evidence to back that up. They would have to have some type of evidence to back up this case study or something of that nature. But it's usually backed by verifiable, conclusive evidence, you know. But if it's not backed up by anything, and this is what lead attorney is basically saying, so I would like to replay that. Because this is what lead attorney is really saying to Destiny. And I want to hear Destiny response on this because the last video I seen him, man, he did do that a lot. He did basically say it says this on the internet and therefore it's true. It says that on the internet and therefore it's true. Oh, let me go ahead and type this in and look, it said it right here. And it's not and I guess nobody was smart enough to tell Destiny that what did you verify that to be true? What is the method of them coming to that conclusion? Because whenever you state something to be fact and then you say here's a fact and here's the truth and then here's the evidence to back up this truth, the conclusive evidence to back up this truth, and then you type something on the internet and say, "Oh, well, yeah, this is true because this person said so." That's appeal to an authority by definition. Now, the authority could very well be correct or he could be incorrect. An authority is an expert. Not to say you don't suppose to trust an authority, but if the authority doesn't provide um, within the evidence for it to be conclusive, which means it has to be verifiable, which means it have to have some sort of verification of them proving this to be true. An authority can't just write a report and say this is true because I'm a scientist, this is true because I'm a news reporter. No, it have to be verified to be true. It must have some sort of method. It must have something, some observation within the evidence, something concrete in reality that you could see for yourself to be true, or some line of reasoning for you to see for yourself it to be true. So it had to be, remember, in anything that you do in a debate or a case court, you have to prove something. Whenever you are trying to prove something, you are supposed to prove beyond reasonable doubt, or you're supposed to prove within reasonable doubt. It's not just some deduction, but if you're saying it's just based on some authority figure, that's not proving nothing with reasoning. That's you proving something with an authority. That's why it's called appeal to an authority. So I really want to see how Destiny's like going to respond to this because it's a clear appeal to an authority whenever he just present evidence and he don't have no verification himself of it to be true. Because it seems like that's what's been going on. Destiny just been typing things up on the internet and saying, "Look, this college said this news reporter said that, this person said this, and this person said that, and I believe them, and I believe this is facts because they said so." Oh well, how did they prove it? Oh well, I don't have to tell you how did they prove it. Read it yourself. They said so, so therefore it's fact. Oh well, that's an appeal to an authority. That's not. I don't have to look. I don't got to listen to any of that. They could be wrong. You know. I said, well, why would they be wrong? Because they smart. So what? Smart people is wrong all the time. So it makes absolutely no sense for why Destiny would even get mad what lead attorney is saying because this is an actual lawyer telling him this is not how it's done. This is not how we argue cases. And you are arguing a case right now when you're talking about like divorces and things of that nature. So I really want to hear how Destiny's going to respond to this.
Then
So-
what? Then do we just make up whatever reason like fits like the YouTube channel narrative more, or what? I don't know what fits like the YouTube. Then do we just make up whatever reason like fits like the YouTube channel narrative more, or what? I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. Like we use self.
But that's not a response. So we just supposed to just make up like the YouTube channel. Well, like what is Destiny talking about? No, you're not supposed to make up, and you're supposed to find evidence that is verifiable. You're supposed to find conclusive evidence to back up your claim that is verifiable, something that we could all observe for ourselves. So no, because even if you put, because Destiny, and this is the thing, Destiny don't even understand that if you go on the internet and look up an article and put it in somebody's face and say that's true because that guy says so, you are just making things up based upon what somebody else made up. If he didn't verify it and you didn't verify it, if there's no verification behind the study or there's no verification behind the line of reasoning or the evidence that you're presenting to be fact, remember, you presenting this evidence to be fact. You presenting this evidence to be non-refutable. If the evidence can be critiqued and it is refutable based upon this not being verified by you, you are just making things up, Destiny. What do you mean? You are making things up. You're making things up, and the person you just cited making things up as well because neither one of you have verified the evidence. You are making things up, Destiny. Why would you even respond with that?
Reporting for like crime victimization is on self-reporting. Like we use self-reporting for a lot of studies in psychology. I guess do we just throw all of that out? I agree with you that
you agree with him, but you don't agree with him. Now here come the double talking, and then you say, "Oh, well, it's self-reporting with crimes." Okay. When you commit a crime, when you commit a crime, the prosecutor have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that you committed the crime. The prosecutor must have all evidence stating it to be fact. Now, if you admit to what you admitting to or self-reporting, you are admitting to the evidence proving the prosecutor to be true. If a defendant just go off and say, "Oh, well, that can't be true," that guy's clearly just throwing himself under the bus. If the defense attorney could say, "My client is clearly lying in the courtroom. He's not a credible source in the courtroom. He clearly trying to frame himself to commit this crime, and he could prove it." Then the courts are supposed to take that in serious consideration. Or if the courts is doing something wrong, or the courts is just violating your due process right there. So know, even the courts know that you can't just take what people say and just think it's true because they self-reporting. You sit up here and say, "Oh, well, even in psychiatry, you self-report," and they think. I say even psychiatrists know that people lie. Psychiatrists is not taking everything that you say at face value and just believe you. Nobody does that. And you are presenting something to be a fact. So what psychiatrists do is not presenting something to be a fact. They're not taking their clients and say, "Oh, well, I know for absolute fact that my client is stating everything that my clients told me is true. Why would he lie?" He could just lie. You didn't verify it at all. And then another thing is when you admit in a criminal case, Destiny never been to jail a day in his life. Destiny have never faced. I could guarantee you, Destiny have never faced anything, no prison charges. He never faced no. He never went through the due process whatsoever. What you are admitting to in the courtroom is the evidence. You are admitting to what you are accused of. You're not admitting to just random things because now they have to do a whole nother investigation. Now they have to bring you up on new charges. What you are admitting to, even if you say you copping out in court, because that's what he means. Because I guess he think he's talking to like people that never been to jail before. He mean copping out. People are self-evidence and things of that nature. And he know he talking to a lawyer, so he know lead attorney's probably like, "Whoa, wait a minute! You're not admitting to this anything," and the judge is taking it at face value. No, you admitting to the crime. You admitting to the charges you brought against you. But when you go to court and you're copping out, right? Basically, you're admitting to a crime. You're admitting to the evidence that's already being brought against you. You're already admitting to things that are stated to be fact. The prosecutor pretty much already stated his case, already presented a case against you, and you admitting to it. So instead of going through the whole court process, you are admitting to something. You are basically validating it yourself. The evidence was already there. The physical evidence was already there. It's physical. It's tangible. The prosecutor is presenting a case based upon physical evidence in a line of reasoning that you have done it. You have committed this crime. If you admit to that, that's what you are admitting to. You're admitting that is true, which is further verification. It's verification on the physical side, something that is stated to be done in reality, and here's the physical evidence that we could all see and observe for ourselves. And now you could observe the client or the criminal himself admitting to all of this, admitting to the physical evidence or admitting to the physical properties that we can all observe right here to be true. So you stating the evidence to be true. You're not just making up things, or you're not just, or we guessing. We got to guess to see if it's true or not. You're not doing that. You admitting to a case that's already being presented against you. You admitting to that to be true. You admitting to the evidence that is already being observed to be true. That's what you're admitting to. It's not, oh, somebody asks you a question and here's the survey and ask a question and we don't know if it's true or not. No, you're admitting to a case that's already been investigated to be true. So that's nothing to what lead attorney is even talking about. So Destiny is wrong right there. So Destiny, it's not appealing to authority if you verify the evidence yourself. But it's appeal to authority if you say, "Oh, I got this on the internet on this website. Look, read it because I read it and I read it and I think it's true because this guy said so." That's not what you just explained, Destiny. Maybe I don't know. It's appeal to an authority. That's and I guess you don't like that.
That there might be some limitations in the data, but I mean, like if you do study after study after study and there's trend after trend after trend, and you can't find like any other explanatory thing for why people report the things they do, I mean,
You don't, and that's another thing. He says study after study after study, data and data. See, they think when they say data, um, they think that. See, this is the problem with them. They think when they say data, they think that's like a word that's like it's supposed to intimidate somebody. Listen, data data is just something. Data in itself is part of an investigation. First off, data is part of a study, but data have to be verified. So you can sit up here and say, here's a trend in this data and data. Somebody could just collect data in a trend. But if all that data is not verified, then you can't state it as fact. It's just data. It's just something that somebody's reporting. It's just something that somebody is just collecting. Somebody is investigating, they just reporting it, but they're not verifying anything. These are just reports that they're getting from people. That's a trend. But you can't say that that trend is true in reality just because it's a trend. This is something that everybody say. Everybody can sit up here and say, I jumped to the moon, and you could collect the data. And this person said they jumped to the moon. This person said they jumped to the moon. Is it an academic of people jumping higher? They reaching the moon? No. It's just a bunch of people saying that they jumped into the moon. Will that data be true? Yeah, no, it will not be true. And according to Destiny, it will be true because everybody's saying it. That's what that Destiny is saying. And he said, oh, well, these people have study and they collecting data. But studies and collecting data is just you collecting data. But the data has to be verified. The problem is not collecting data. There's nothing wrong with proper investigation. There's nothing wrong with studying a phenomenon. There's nothing wrong with any of that. It's the first part of it's the first part of the scientific method. I mean, it's in the scientific method for a reason, folks. You got statisticians for a reason, folks. But guess what the statistician do? When they collect the data, they verify it to be true. If it's not verified to be true, they actually put in a report that this data is self-reported, like lead attorney just said. This data is self-reported, it's not actually verified. It just we didn't verify this to be true. None of these statements we know to be true or we don't know to be true. It's not actually verified. We don't have any further studies stating that this to be fact. But this is the trend of what's going on. That's why they call it a trend. This is the trend of what people are saying in divorce. This is the trend of a reaction that people have in divorce. It's not verified that what they're saying to be absolute truth or not verified what they're saying to be somewhat true. This is just data that we're collecting based upon studies or based upon data that we collected, and this is what they all saying, and that's what make it a trend. What make it a trend is that they all saying pretty much the same thing. Now, your line of reasoning could say, Oh, all of these people saying this, so therefore it's true. But then that would be appeal to majority. So now Destiny committed a appeal to authority because he's basically stating that, oh, because these reporters said so, so therefore it's true. Now he's making a case to appeal to majority because it's a trend. Therefore, we can look at that and say it's true. No, Destiny, that's appeal to an authority and appeal to a majority. It has to be verified in order for you to state it as fact. You are presenting something to someone in your presentation. You say, here's the evidence to state that what I'm saying is true. And the evidence isn't verifiable. You have no verification in it, and the people that reported this has no verification or no methodology to prove that this is a true statement. Then it is untrue. Then Destiny, it's not reliable. And that's what lead attorney is trying to tell you. And you like not getting it. Why?
At some point, it's like, okay, well, self will report the things they do. I mean, at some point, it's like, okay, well, self-reporting is kind of be some limitations in the data. But I mean, like if you do study after study after study and there's trend after trend after trend, and you can't find like
See, look, he said study of study after study, trend after trend after trend. Trend, you don't have to say trend after trend after trend. And you don't have to say study after study after study. Or you could say, like, oh, well, these people collect, or these people, that's multiple, collected these studies, that's multiple, and we see that there's a trend here. Okay, that's multiple. That's appeal to an authority. Is it verifiable? Did you verify the evidence to state it? Did you verify the evidence to be true? If you have not verified the evidence to be true, then you cannot state it as fact. It seems like Destiny is you're trying to get away from the fact of verification because you know you're presenting something that is unfalsifiable. Number one, because you cannot really verify these people. It's not like you could physically survey all them people, the same people that the study surveyed. It's not like you could physically survey all of them, jump in a time machine, and see if they're telling the truth or not. Because it's falsifiable. Number one, number one. So why even bring out that as evidence? You bring it out the weakest part of your argument for no reason. So if you're trying to state this to be true, or you're trying to state this to be a fact, then it's first off, it's inconclusive because it's not verifiable. So you can't state it as a fact because it's not verifiable. That's the moral of the story. You can't. There's no verification. You didn't verify it, and neither did the people that reported it verified it. So it's just a trend. It's just a trend. It's just things that people say. That's all you could take it as. This is just things that people say in a divorce, and that's how divorces is. That's just how people is. People lie. And some of them probably lying, and some of them probably not. But you're not going to get too many people being honest in divorce court. That's just, that's why divorce courts, most of the time, the divorce when they say, hey, the reason why the people got divorced is because of finances. But most of the time, it's not because of finances. It's really most of the time it's because the people probably not getting along. It's really because those people just didn't like each other. They grew away from each other. They grew apart. Somebody probably is fornicating, but they're not going to go to court and say, yeah, I cheated on her, so I want to leave. I don't want to be married no more. I'm just tired of him, so I don't want to be married no more. The court's gonna look at that like, you a piece of garbage, but so they'll say something, so the course is gonna chalk it up as, oh, they having financial problems, and be going about your business. They talking about money, they having finance problems, and they're gonna get a divorce because of that. And they just and throw it away because it's really none of the court's business why you're getting a divorce. They just there to mediate. So, Destiny is taking an issue and he's trying to state facts in the issue that you really can't state facts in.
any other explanatory thing for why people report the things they do. I mean, at some point, it's like, okay, well, self-reporting is kind of the only way, to go forward other than
Well, I mean,
stories.
But you could say, even if you want to say that's the only way, and that's a false dichotomy. But I'm really not about to go into that. That's a false dichotomy. The argument that lead attorney is making is not, and then lead attorney is probably about to fall into this because Because the attorney should say, well, that's not the argument that I'm making. That's not the criticism that I have for you. The criticism that I have to you is that you're stating it to be fact. You're presenting the evidence as if it's fact, if this is backing up a claim that you're making. If it's backing up a claim that you're making, that means that you're saying that it's not refutable and it's a fact. You can't make a claim and back it up with evidence that's not verifiable and stated to be a fact. That's the issue. Stay to that issue. Don't run away and say, "Oh, well, but I don't see no other way to do it." So therefore, that's a false dichotomy, and that's a straw man because we're not even talking about that. We're not talking about what are some of the ways that you could prove this issue. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the ways that you have tried to prove it. You stating it to be a fact when it's not. It's not verifiable. So therefore, it's not a fact. You stating something to be a fact like it's irrefutable when it is refutable because you didn't verify yourself, and neither did the person that you claim neither did the person that you claim that brought neither the authority figure that you claim that brought the report because they're not even making the claim for it to be a fact. They saying it themselves. These people have self-reported this, and here's the data that we collected based upon these people saying this and that. They're just telling you the current environment of people that have divorces. This is what you're going to hear, which that would be true. Now, if you was making a claim saying, "Oh, well, whenever you hear about people talk about a divorce, they say this." Based upon this study, they have done a survey, or based upon these studies, they have done these surveys with these people that has been self-reporting, talking about their divorces, and they said this, and it's a fact. But if you say, well, people usually get the divorce because of this, that's a claim, and here's the study stating that because the people said that they did this. Now you're making a claim that for absolute certain. You're making a claim of why people get divorced, and then you bring in a study case here that is not verifying your positive claim. Now, if your positive claim was this is what people say after a divorce due to these studies, then your positive claim would be deemed to be true. But if you say this is why people get divorced, and here's the evidence, and it's just people talking, and it's not verified them to be telling the truth, then it's not verifiable. Then it's not backing up your positive claim. Matter of fact, it's doing something against you. It's just basically you appealing to an authority. So Destiny need to understand when to present evidence. And this is what I've seen in like pretty much like the two debates that I've seen him in. He don't know when to present evidence, and he don't know when to back off on something. Like one guy backed him into a corner, and he just continue on talking in circles. I'm like, why is he? He don't. I think that's is nothing wrong. I'm gonna get to that video in a minute because there's nothing wrong with you conceding. And it's like he don't want to. And here's another prime example right now. This is something that Destiny should concede on. He decided not to concede on it. He want to argue anyway. When he's clearly wrong, it's not doing nothing for him. Even if he want to say, he think, oh, long as I don't concede, I'm not breaking symmetry. No, you are breaking symmetry because you are committing an illogical fallacy right now. You coming with a fallacious argument right now. So you are breaking symmetry right now. It don't matter if you just say, "Oh, I'm just gonna keep arguing." Well, you're just gonna keep talking in circles because you already got your claim debunked. You already have your claim already refuted just now. Like lead attorney don't even have to say anything else. You keep talking and keep backing that claim up. You should just concede to it and move on.
You can say that self-reporting is the best that we have, but that doesn't mean that it's accurate at all. That doesn't mean that
Exactly. And I know lead attorney would probably explain it the same way that I explained it. I'm giving you the more in-depth version of it, but that's literally all lead attorney had to say, honestly. And he just debunked everything Destiny just said.
it's deserving to be relied upon. You can just say, hey, this is all we got. You know, back in the back in 2000 BC, you know, hey, religion, that's all we got. So we're going to rely on that. And fine.
Well, he didn't have to say that. We had more than we had more than that.
Well,
to
you know,
that
maybe
point,
there's this thing called gravity. Maybe there's this thing called, you know, astrophysics. Maybe there are things going on that we don't know yet. And so that's what I'm telling you. Like,
But they didn't go to okay. See, lead attorney is stuff. But I see the point that lead attorney is trying to make, but he have to he could have just explained it. He's trying to appeal to a destiny emotions. So now lead attorney is doing something, but I see what he's trying to do. He's trying to explain it in a way where Destiny can understand it. But no, he really should just explain it in Destiny the way I just said it, pretty much. And not that I'm some type of authority figure, but he should keep Destiny on what he said. You see what I'm saying? Not what other people said, not what other people did in history, not with all that. No, you stated something that you made a positive claim, stating something to be fact. You presented evidence, you wearing on the internet, and basically presented this to be backing up your positive claim. Now, the evidence that you presented off the internet is coming from an authority figure that haven't verified the data that you presented presented against your opponent. So therefore, your opponent doesn't have to pretty much acknowledge it because he can critique it by saying, "Well, how did you verify that?" And if you cannot basically explain the method of how you verified it, and the authority figure didn't explain the method of how they actually investigated it and verified it, or you know, prove that it's true, then you just appealing to an authority. Because if you say, "Oh, well, they haven't verified it, and I haven't verified it neither," but why should they lie? Why should they lie? These people are reporters, or these people credentials is this, or these people are an authority, so you should trust them. I'd rather trust them than trust you. Then your opponent can say, "Well, you just appealing to an authority. Then it's a belief. This is just something that you believe in. I'm not here to debate your fantasy." That's all. That's all your opponent have to say. Hey, listen, I don't care. You can believe whatever you want to believe, but that's not true. That's not necessarily true because that person you read off of says so. That's simple, Destiny. So now you got to go out there and find something that's verifiable or change the claim. As simple as that. Concede to the argument and change the claim. As simple as that. You don't even like lead attorney don't even got to talk about religion at all. He don't got to talk about people believing in the Bible or anything. Destiny made a positive claim. He stated that he had the evidence to prove it. Hey, this and stop proving it because none of the evidence that you presented is verifiable. It's appealing to an authority. Now you're talking about trends. It's appealing to a majority. Those are two fallacies, sir. Fallacious arguments. That's not proving anything. Therefore, concede that you don't have verified evidence proving that stating your case to be factual. So let's concede and move on, sir. You lost. Like
judges don't even rely on the stuff that you guys are talking about. Not you guys. I'm talking about Destiny specifically with these studies.
Well, hold on. For me specifically, income was not. I don't think that was. I don't actually know if it was self-reported. Are you saying that they're lying about their income on the studies?
Are they showing the scientists or the data collectors their W-2s and their taxes? Or are they telling them, do you make between 50 and 75,000? Do you make between 75,000 and 100? Are they just typing that into their keypad on their phone?
Because I mean, my guess is going to be it's self-reported, but like,
even we attorneys, we don't even believe our own fucking clients to be. I don't know.
Okay, comparing an attorney to a study is a totally different thing, though, right? You're litigating
not,
a specific.
Because it's all data collection.
No. It's not data collection. You're not collecting data as an attorney. You're getting specific information about a specific case.
Right. So that's data collecting. It's studying a physical. Destiny don't even understand what. Listen. He now he's appealing to credentials again. Now you're appealing to credentials, and now you're not even respecting my credential. Now you saying, "Oh, well, it's different in a study." You guys are talking about a specific case, and it's not data collecting. I say, yes, it's data collecting. It's studying. It's You're collecting data. You're investigating a study. You're investigating something physical. You're investigating something in reality. It's you collecting data based upon the thing that you are studying. Attorneys have to do that in order for them to make positive claims, and you have to do that as well to make positive claims. Now, you can't say, oh, well, they're both not the same. Well, yeah, the attorney cannot basically go in a courtroom with studies that is not verifiable. Yes, an attorney cannot accuse somebody of doing something that they can't prove to be fact. Verifying is proof. It's proving that you're saying something that is true. Like, you're not getting that. You keep trying to run it. Why is you arguing this? Like, I don't even understand why is Destiny even arguing about this. And then he's like trying to play word semantics, and this is what semantics mean. You're trying to play word semantics saying that don't mean that. That don't mean that. No, it is data collecting. Now, you could say, oh, but that's not the proper term for it. But in the context that lead attorney is talking to you, you know he's talking about studying a phenomena or studying something that is trying to be proven to be true. He's studying either a hypothesis, he's studying a phenomena, he's collecting data to verify it. Collecting data to verify it. First, you collect data, then you verify it. How you verify it? It has a method. You collect data first, then you verify it. How do you verify it? It has a method to do it. Lead attorneys do it, scientists do it, prosecutors do it. The people that you talking about, people whoever doing a study, they have to verify what they are studying or the data that they are studying to be true. If they just saying they collecting data and they just listening to what people doing and they just putting it out in the audience for you to read it without verification, then you cannot accept it as fact. Why? Because it haven't been tested to be true. It haven't been verified yet. And a lawyer, and like, I don't know why you're trying to say like, oh, well, a lawyer, you guys doesn't do this, like they beneath your study or something. But that's another fact. Like, that's another fact. Okay, that's another fallacy. And we could get to the fallacy. I mean, we could just ask ChatGPT what do appeal to authority mean? Okay, the logical, and I looked up what logical fallacy is. Is it you say something true because you read it? I just typed in something just random. Like, what is the logical fallacy when you say something is true because you read it? And they say, oh, the logical fallacy you're referring to, it is called an appeal to an authority or argument from authority. This fallacy occurs when someone asserts that a claim is true because an authority figure or source says it is true, rather than providing evidence or sound reasoning. While it's reasonable to consider the expertise of authorities in certain subjects, relying solely on the fact that someone said something without examining the evidence or reasoning behind the claim. So you can't even sit up here and say, "Oh well, the trend, all these trends said it, so I have the line of reasoning to believe it to be true." It said, "Examine the evidence or reasoning." So even reasoning, you got to verify that as well. Behind the claim can be problematic, which is a fallacy. That's pretty much you just stated it's a fallacy. It's important to critically evaluate. It's important to critically evaluate information and not accept it as true simply because of the source. That's appeal to an authority. That is exactly what Destiny is doing right now, and he should know this stuff. Like, I don't even understand. They comparing this dude to like Ben Shapiro and stuff. Like, and why is you even arguing about this? I wouldn't even argue about it. I would like, okay, I got caught with an appealing authority. Concede and move forward. Just because you concede, that don't mean you lost the argument. You just conceded to something that is not factual. You made a positive claim about something. You cannot back it up with the evidence that you have. Do you have verifiable evidence? If not, then move forward. Concede. Don't keep arguing about the evidence that's not verifiable. You go, oh, well, this evidence says this about this. And then lead attorney say, oh, well, did you verify it? Just because he's not saying, see, this is what probably confusing. Lead attorney is not saying verify. He's talking like an attorney. You see what I'm saying? And lead attorney is just basically saying like, oh, well, did they do this? Did they do that? Because lead attorney is trying to see what is the method they using, stating that it's true. That's what he said. Oh, I think they doing it. Well, you didn't even okay. Well, you proving that you didn't even verify it yourself. You just read it, and they say you saying it's true because you read it off a website. Who made the claim, Destiny? Oh, well, I don't know. I just read it off the site. Really? What is we doing here? What are we doing? And you've been arguing all this time about this, and you don't even have you making a positive claim, and you saying you have all this evidence, you jumping on the internet and saying, look, read this, and it's not even explaining the method of how they even figured out this to be true. Oh, they actually saying that this stuff is self-reported and this is anecdotal, so don't take it at a grain of salt. Oh, they actually admitting this? Oh, so it's not verifiable. It's not actual facts. This is not a factual claim that you're making, but this is not a factual evidence that you having, but you have a factual claim that you're making. Then it's appeal to authority, Destiny. You say, oh, everybody's saying it. Then it's appeal to majority, Destiny. Move on. Concede and move on. They called you out on it. Move on. Unless you got verifiable evidence, sir, we wait. If you're not responding with verifiable evidence, then stop talking.
Right? Yeah,
That's
but when you're trying to make a case, I don't know if you're a trial attorney or what, but like when you're trying to make a case in front of a judge and the judge is
now he's disrespecting his credentials. What is the ad hominems for? What is that for? Why is you even arguing this? Okay, go ahead.
asking you, like, did your client cheat on his wife? Like, you would never respond to it. Well, 47% of clients do. No, of course not. You're doing like a case study when you're doing.
No, he had to verify it to be true before he stated in a case. He can't put it in a case. It's not a case study. In court, they deal with facts. They deal with all the argumentation that they have in court is stated as facts, which means that they claiming the evidence that they're bringing forth in court, they stating it to be facts, which means they verified it to be facts. Or else the police won't even put it in an investigation if they can't verify it to be factual. Because the defense attorney proved that it's not factual, then it may ruin the whole case. Because what else they lying about? That's how court deal with it. They say, oh, you lying about that? What else you be lying about? So it's not case study. It's verifying the data that you have collected in an investigation. That's what's going on in court. And it should be going on in this debate if you stating something to be fact. It don't change because you in a debate on YouTube. What? Like, I wish I would go to court and some lawyer say I committed a crime, and then he say, oh, well, everybody else said they commit crimes in this situation, so therefore, Mr. Joe, he had to do it. He had to commit a crime in this, because we investigated all these other people, and they said it's a trend stating that they all committed this crime in this similar situation. So therefore, Joe had to commit this crime because they commit this crime. Oh, I wish my defense attorney wouldn't object to that nonsense. And the prosecutor respond with saying, hey, he can't object to that. This is a case study. This is facts. Even though we don't have to verify it to be true, that Mr. Joe done it, but we said that these people said that they did it. Not even verified to say that they did it. Just gonna say that they said that they did. This is how stupid it sounds.
Like, that's what an attorney does, is case studies. Like, the whole discovery process is
This had nothing to do with the criticism that lead attorney is giving him. And lead attorney is just about to just turn it back on him and say, but you cannot say that it's true because somebody said so, Destiny. Get it in your head. You do not know how to debate or something. You need to go back to school, learn how to debate. You don't know how to debate. If you just if this what you've been doing, just throwing this going on the internet and say read this, it's true, then you're not really and the people falling for that and not calling you out on fallacious arguments, that they don't know how to debate. But you cannot do that anywhere. There is no study like that anywhere. Yes, people have studies when they collect data and they tell you about the current environment. That study is probably wasn't even based on conclusive. This is why people get divorced. That study is probably not even based on that, because if they making a positive claim about that, then they are wrong. It don't just stop with you, Destiny. But they probably is not even saying that in the reports. They probably just saying this is the environment as far as divorce. Not, oh, this is why people getting a divorce. Here's the conclusive evidence right here. People just saying this is why they get divorced. That's not what.
Collecting data about one particular case, right? Or maybe you'll bring in an expert witness for random shit.
No,
Like,
they collected data about them. No, it's not collecting data. It's collected data and verifying the data with a method. I know lead attorney gotta be. I know he trying his best not to interrupt him, but I would have just. You don't know what you're talking about. Like, you really don't know what you talk. Please don't get in trouble. Please don't get in trouble, Destiny. Please don't get in trouble. Because you will be the type of idiot that just let somebody just throw you under the bus. Oh, he said it. He said that all these other people did it, so therefore I must have did it. I deserve to go to prison. That's stupid.
Not the same as like talking in a scientific manner or in a sociological manner, but like here's like data across the society. So yeah, I would expect like a judge to be using more specific stuff where they're going to subpoena shit and everything.
Yes, and you should too, and yes, and your opponent should too. Wait a minute, why do you think a judge should be using more specific stuff? It's not specific stuff. It's verifying the evidence. The judge is not using specific stuff. He's verifying the case. Wherever the case go, whatever evidence is brought in front of the courtroom, that judge and everybody in the courtroom is verifying the case. It has to be verifiable. It has to be some sort of verification in the case. The defendant, the prosecutor have to prove with beyond reasonable doubt. They say beyond reasonable doubt, but the prosecutor have to prove in a line of reasoning that this is logically true. Has to prove it, which means that all of the data, all of the charges that's being brought against the defendant has to be verified it to be true. It cannot be nothing other than this. It can't be any other dichotomy other than this client, other than the defendant have done this. That's what it has to be. I don't know what part of that, and it don't just apply in courtroom.
Or they're going to have like more specific stuff to one case, but that's because you're arguing about one particular person, not an entire field.
Yeah, but the entire field is made up of each individual case study, if you want to call it that, Destiny. That's all data is. It's just a collection of individual case studies, if you want to call it that. That's all it is.
Right. Then another thing is you trying to run away from the argument is that you making a positive claim about something. You making a positive, conclusive claim about this is why all of these people is doing this, based upon an individual study. And even if you want to say it's collective, it's still they collecting this they collecting the data by individuals. Like, you are basically making a positive claim based upon a study that is not verifiable, which means that it's not factual. You're making a factual claim, and you're trying to back it up with evidence that it's not factual. Destiny, that's wrong.
Like, you're elevating it to something higher than what it really is.
I think there's to defend Destiny. I think relying on hard data, that's a very healthy thing to do, because for the most part.
Let me jump in though, because you said to defend Destiny. I don't know if you heard when I first began. I said that there's a reason to try to rely on this stuff. I love relying on science. That's what we should rely on. My point, TF,